Right. We will, first of all, take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for allowing this transmission to occur in this manner on this day. Once again, each and every time this is co-created between our respective civilizations, it forms a stronger link, a stronger bridge between your world and our world, and what we have called the association of many worlds. So we thank you for the opportunity to strengthen that link, strengthen that bridge, upon which we can one day cross to meet each other in the middle. And that day is not too far away as you count time on your planet. Toward that end of accelerating and strengthening the time of contact between our worlds, we once again invite you to explore your own inner world more deeply. For the more that you learn who you are, then the better it will be in the sense of being your full self, certainly more of your full self when we meet, so that we will know more of who you are, and that you will know more of who you are when you meet us. For we will come to you as fully as we can. And if you are, thus then at that point, not coming to us as fully as you can, we want to make sure that this will not be detrimental for you. So we help to prepare you to discover more of yourself, to explore more of your own universe, so that you can be more integrated, more holistic, more empowered, more creative, more loving, more alive, and that you will know more definitively who and what you are when we meet. Now, we have set up this particular transmission for the idea of discussing what is euphemistically called in your language your soul blueprint. What this generally means is that when you choose to be physical, as many of you know, you will come into physical reality with a general theme that you have decided to play out. It does not always mean that you decide every single moment of your life, or that you are destined to only do certain things. That is not what the soul blueprint means. Although you can create some specific incidents, events, encounters in your life. You can design them, set them up ahead of time for that to come to fruition. You can do that, and sometimes do that. But not every moment, far from it, is laid out ahead of time. You leave yourself an opening throughout your life to make changes as you go, depending upon how much you learn, how much you recognize, how much you realize, how much you integrate. You leave yourself the opportunity at every moment to take the new information and decide where you wish to go, what you wish to do with it, what you want your life to be from that moment forward. The general theme you may have set up for yourself prior to this life will be played out, but the theme is so general that it does not in any way, shape, or form restrict you or limit you in terms of the multitude of the kinds of ways in which you could express or experience that theme. And especially now, at this time upon your planet, many of the themes that you are exploring in these lives are all about waking up to the fact that you have the freedom to choose what you want your life to be, how you want to experience it. once again, that the most important perspective, the most important attitude to have toward your physical reality experience is not to look at how you are doing based on what's going on out there, but how you are doing based on how you respond to whatever's going on out there, no matter what it is. Always remember, there is no out there. There is only here. There is only you. Physical reality is an illusion, a mirror, a reflection. You can use it as a tool in some senses to reflect what is going on within you, what your beliefs are, what your thoughts are, what your emotions are, what your attitudes are, what your definitions are. You can use physical reality as a reflection, but it is not the first step in gauging whether or not you have made a change. The first step in knowing that you have changed is that you respond differently than you used to a situation that may look the same as it did before. As we have said, all situations and all circumstances do not have built-in meaning, and they can serve double duty. The meaning you give it is the effect you get from it. So the first step in knowing your reality has changed is in knowing you have changed with respect to your experience of reality, even if it looks the same as it did before. If you can then respond differently to that reality than you did before, then you know the change is real, the change is within you, the change is owned by you. And when you respond differently than you did before, in a manner that is more of your preference, then, and only then, does your physical reality truly begin to reflect that change in other ways. But remember, it doesn't have to necessarily look much different. The key is whether or not you are getting a different effect in your life than you did before. Because the very same situation with all the same props and all the same people behaving all the same way as they did before can still allow you to generate a completely different outcome, a completely different effect, a completely different energy than you did before, just by the fact that you are relating to the situation differently. Because you say you have changed and will respond differently. Because you are now not the same person that you were before, literally. When outer reality needs to look different, it will, as a reflection of the change. Whatever part of the change it needs to reflect differently, it will. But don't go off the outer reflection. Always go off your response. That will determine the difference. And that will determine the outcome. And that will determine the effect. Now, this personality idea that we have discussed many times, and which we will discuss in greater detail this time, is only your outer focusing device. Your personality is really nothing more than a window or a prism through which your consciousness creates the experience called physical reality. Now that experience is, of course, actually only taking place within you. Again, there is no outside. Nothing. Nothing out there. Nothing. Just a reflection. Just as there is nothing itself of the image in the mirror, you understand there is really nothing of reality outside you. It is all taking place within your consciousness. But what the personality allows itself to perceive is often built upon not only the beliefs and definitions you have been taught in life to hold most true, to buy into most strongly, but also based upon what is technically called the soul blueprint. What you brought into this life, in a sense, as a theme to explore. So you will always look at everything that happens through the personality. You will always look at everything through that general theme. You will experience it through that general theme. When you choose to be physical and go from a non-physical state into a physical state, in a sense what you do is a kind of crystallization. It's like going from being steam to being water to being ice. You freeze yourselves in a type of pattern. This pattern then is referred to as the soul blueprint concept. If you will look at the one that shows you the idea of your history, all the different pathways, all the different consciousnesses, all the different lifetimes, all the different experiences of what you call your past that you have brought to your present and will take with you into your future, you can see that you are, as a soul blueprint, shall we say, made up of quite a lot of different kinds of frequencies of energy. Quite a lot of different frequencies of experience. Many of you have begun to become aware in this life of your connections to other times, other places, other experiences, other lives, and so forth. And often wonder, how does this relate to this life? Now, a little bit of an aside before we continue with this. When we have discussions with many of you, often, many people will refer to the idea of these other connections by asking a question, Bashar, where do I really come from? Well, of course, the direct answer is, to the person actually asking the question, is, well, you really come from Earth, obviously, because that's where you are right now asking the question from. But we understand that when they ask the question, where do I really come from? Where do I originate from? We understand what you mean, but we wish to point out that you originate from everywhere, all at once and nowhere. Here and now is where you come from. But the idea is that when they ask, where do I originate from? What they're actually asking is this. What other places and times and lives and experiences am I strongly connecting to from this life? Because that's what you're actually doing. In any given life, because they all exist simultaneously, past, present, future, all exist now. All your so-called past lives are all going on right now with this one simultaneously, in much the same way that all the different programs on your television that you could watch at any given moment are all there at the same time, but you only get the one that your channel is tuned to at any given moment. So it is with this. So it is with the structure of existence. You, the you know yourself to be here on Earth, are experiencing this Earth life. Other variations of your consciousness are experiencing other lives in other places and other times now at the same moment. But they are separated by the fact that they are different frequencies, in much the same way that television and radio programs on your planet are separated by the fact that they are different frequencies. But they're all there at once. They all exist at the same time. But frequency and resonance is the key. So, from any life, in any life, you form attachments and connections two other lives going on simultaneously that have relevance to this life in terms of the kind of experiences that are being had in those other lives by those other versions of you. Because you know that the experiences they are having are relevant to some of the experiences that you may be having in this life, and, as you say, vice versa. From those lives, they may be tapping into other lives, including this one, from which they can draw upon your experiences. So, I'll give you an example. In a life that you may call a past life, you may be having a great deal of despair and hopelessness in a particular experience that you are having in that life. Then suddenly, for apparently no reason, hope and inspiration hits you, and you realize there is a way out of this. I do not have to lose hope. I can find my way through the dark to the light. And you don't know where that came from or why that hit you, but suddenly you just know things can get better. Well, sometimes that information, that knowledge, that certainty may have come from your guides, may have come from spirit, may have come from a variety of places, but it also may have come from an experience